Sweet, recording. Yay. Well, welcome, you guys. And did everybody have a chance to do the Equilibria personality test?
I did.
Yay.
I couldn't get it to work.
Oh, really?
No.
With the new link I put in there?
Mm-hmm. Yep, tried it in a couple different places and I could not get it to work.
Because I went to the website and copied it, you know, from the URL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's strange.
It just kept
I couldn't get it to work either.
With the new URL?
What browser do you guys use? Because sometimes websites prefer certain browsers.
I tried my phone, Safari from my phone, Safari from my computer, and Chrome from my computer, and I couldn't get any of it to work, unfortunately.
Now I could get Safari to work. But I see that won't
Safari.
computers. So
Bummer. Well, we'll go through this information, and then hopefully afterwards you can go in there and maybe their website's down or something tonight. I don't know.
well, what was the old one that you sent? Because that's what I used, was the original one you sent on Voxer.
Yeah.
So were you sending a new different one?
No, I just put the same website into my team Voxer group.
Oh, okay. Because you said new, and I thought, well, maybe there was a different one.
No. Okay, so I actually am going to share my screen. I created just a little quick and dirty PowerPoint just to make this easier. So let me make this smaller. Okay. So this is, can you guys all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you were able to do it, this is a sort of a personality test, and there are a lot of different personality tests out there. And this one is, you know, it's kind of fun to go through this and see what you are. And I think it's good in terms of our business, really just to understand that there are all kinds of different personalities out there. Not everybody thinks the way that you do. Okay? And so to understand that what these personalities really describe are people's communication styles and their behaviors. And it's not a matter of everything is right or wrong. It's a matter of different people look at things differently. And the more aware we can be of our own personality style and what are sort of our strengths with those, and also they call them potential limiters with your own personality style. So if you were able to do this, at the bottom it tells you your like, I'm a doing socializer, which is a yellow red. And it says, as a doing socializer, I tend to, and these are all kind of the positive things that I tend to do. And then but there are coaching opportunities, right? Things that I need to be aware of, that ways that I may come across to people that aren't necessarily positive. And I just think the more aware we are of our own personality style, and that other people have different personality styles, the better we're going to be able to relate to people. And that's what our business is all about, is relationships. And first of all, I just want to say that all of the color combinations are good. There are no bad, you know, colors or combinations or anything like this, like that. And I think if all of the 100 Club NMDs in our business were to do this personality test, they would come up with all of the different combinations. I don't think there's one combination that's better or worse for doing our business. So I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I have this and I wish I had that, right? You were created perfectly the way you are. And so I'm going to just go through really quick some of the kind of the characteristics of these personality types. And as I go through these, well, first of all, let me say, we all have at least a little bit of all 4 of these colors within us. You know, we're not just 1 or 2 or even 3. We all have at least a little bit of all of them. And as I go through these, though, I think you'll be able to think of people that you know that are dominant in this color. So red, they call it the doer. And this is the part of your personality that helps you to take action and get things done. So the red is typically an extrovert. They're usually very confident. They can be very competitive. They love a challenge. Very proud. They are typically very quick decision makers. And a lot of times they're leaders. They're sort of a natural leader. The green, which is the thinker, is can be, they're typically introverts. They're planners. They're the people you go to like that are very methodical and will get things done. Sometimes they can be a perfectionist. They are typically emotional. And they're gonna take their time and analyze information as opposed to just making a rash, quick decision. So as I'm going through these, can you guys think of people that you know that you're like, oh, this is so and so?
Yeah.
Okay. And then blues are usually introverts. They're very loyal friends. Well, it's the relator. And this is the part of your personality that helps you to empathize with and support others. They're introverts. They're usually very loyal friends. They may not have a ton of friends, but the friends that they have, they're very loyal to. They're peacemakers. They don't like for there to be conflict. They're very empathetic, good listeners. Sometimes they can be submissive, and they also tend to not make decisions as quickly. They want to, kind of take their time and think about it and really make sure that the decision they're making is the right decision. And then yellow is the socializer. This is the part of your personality that helps you interact and engage with others. They're the life of the party. They're a social extrovert. They're usually very talkative, very touchy-feely. They love attention, and they're also quick decision makers. Does that all make sense? Someone's laughing. Do you see yourself, or do you see people you know?
No, I'm laughing because I'm yellow-blue, and one is an introvert, the other is the extrovert.
Exactly. And I think
My socializer is more.
Okay. And I think, there's a whole scale of introvert to extrovert. And based on the combination you have, you might be in the middle of that scale. You might tend towards one or the other, but not super strongly. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's, Peggy, I want to ask you a question about that. If you took this test 20 years ago, do you think you would have been more dominant though? Like, do you think that is maybe a product of personal development?
Actually, we're going to get to that, Ellen.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. In our next
Very
slide.
possibly.
So hold on to that thought for a second, Peggy.
I'm a little red, so.
I love it. Okay, so this is the iceberg analogy. And I'll just tell you guys, they had a webinar. This company had a webinar this week, and I jumped on it, just kind of explaining all of this. And I jumped on it and I screenshotted a lot of their screens. So that's where this presentation came from. But I think this is really important, is you have your personality, which is your communication style and your behavior. And then you have your character, and your character, the communication style and behavior is sort of on the, the top of the iceberg that's above the water. Your character is everything that's below the water, and that's different, right, than your true personality. And I think as we go through personal growth and personal development, our character tends to change and kind of become stronger. And I think a lot of times what happens is, as you develop your character, if you're way dominant, very dominant in one of your colors, you may tend to bring that back a little bit. And typically you're going to bring the negative aspects back. Every color is good, and there are positive aspects, and then there are sort of those coaching tips, for every potential limiters is what they call them, for every color. And as you grow in character, those potential limiters tend to become smaller or less emphasized. And I'll just like what you were saying, Ellen, if I were to have done this probably 5 years ago, I'll tell you, I am a yellow red, and my percentages are all pretty close. I'm yellow. My yellow is 30%. My red is 24%. My green is 22%, and my blue is 24%. And if I were to have done this personality test 5 years ago, I would have been very dominant red. And as I've learned, as I've done personal growth through this business, I've become a lot more sensitive and empathetic with people, and a lot less. For those of you who have done the vibrancy signature, I'm a saffron, and that they call that the loving butt kicker. I wasn't necessarily the loving butt kicker. I just was the butt kicker.
Me too.
So Peggy, back to Ellen's question, do you feel like 20 years ago it would have been different?
Very possibly. Yeah, because when the kids were growing up and I was working full time, I was doing all the time, at least 18 or 19 hours a day.
Wow.
So yeah, I think the doer would probably have come out more. It was a 22. My socializer was 32 and relator 27. Thinker 19. That fits. I'm not an analyzer. That part really fits. But I probably would have been much more of a doer. I still am on the go all the time. But yeah, it probably would have.
Yeah, and I think these can change, and also they can definitely change depending on what aspect of your life you're talking about. So in our family life, when we're the mom, we might be more of a doer or more of a relator, or more, it just depends on the situation. And then in our business, we might be more of something else, more of, the socializer or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's normal. So, and one thing too is, as you go through personal development and growth, you really want to become less reactive and more responsive. you know, as that character grows, reactive is just like, you know, for a red, and I'm this way, I can get very impatient, right? And so the more you can respond, and sometimes depending on the colors you have, it's different ways of doing that. So here are some examples. So this lady is saying, why does my husband need to have a to-do list for everything? I wish he was a little more spontaneous. And he is saying, why does my wife always want to go with the flow? Doesn't she understand how good it feels to cross things out from a to-do list? Like, you see yourself in one or the other of those? Like, I'm the total go with the flow person. I'm like too much planning is painful for me. And when I say too much planning, it's probably what the normal person sees as like regular planning. But I've learned, you know, just through this business, I need to plan a lot more than I do. It's not necessarily a skill that I came into this business with. And then other people, you know, need every detail, or they really want every detail laid out. And sometimes in this business, you got to go with the flow. You know, there's a kind of a happy medium there. So what this slide is telling you is that he's a red-green. And he is saying, I need to make my screen smaller. Hold on. I need to make this smaller so we can see the whole thing. That didn't help very much. He's saying sometimes it's not worth going. Hold on. He is saying sometimes it may be worth going with the flow. I guess we may not really need a to-do list on our holiday trip. Okay. And then this next one, you know what? I'm going to get out of presentation mode to go through these. This next one, they're working together. And he says, I like decisions to be made quickly. As long as we can get to work and move forward, I'm happy. I can relate to that. And she's saying, I like to analyze all the data available to determine the different possibilities before we can debate a decision. Right? Do you see how they have to find a happy medium there to be able to work together effectively? And he figures out, maybe he's red-green. Maybe I don't have all the necessary information to make the best possible decision. Maybe I need to listen to her and you know, figure out all of the right information. And this guy is red-yellow. I can relate to this one. He's figuring out, I can manage my impatience by using my pause button. So when he gets impatient, sometimes you need to just, like, I have to do this. I have to just kind of stop and go, okay, what's really important in life? You know, is it really that important that someone butted in front of me in the checkout line at the grocery store? Like, I'm impatient and I'm frustrated, and you know, sometimes I have to just take a step back and go, okay, for whatever reason, they're just in a bigger hurry than I am. It's okay. Mm-hmm. And then this one is, they actually had a before screen. I didn't get a chance to get a picture of it, but they were, one person was saying, I want to jump in and help that person. They're like rescue workers. And the other one was saying, hold on, we need to take a look and see what all the dangers are. And this yellow-blue is realizing, I now understand if I jump in to help without thinking, both the person I jump in to help and I could get hurt. So they know, you know, yellow is a quick decision maker. They need to kind of stop and take their time and make sure that it's safe.
Right.
So let's go through some Juice Plus examples. And here's what I would love. I'm going to actually stop sharing my screen. I can find my cursor. Okay. So, first of all, who has red as their dominant color? Anybody? Oh, interesting. My yellow and my red are pretty close.
Done.
What?
I said, how are we going to get anything done?
Maybe that's why we're still all on these fast track calls.
Sony said she's red. She has red as her dominant color. So Sony,
Awesome.
I don't know if you're in a place that you can unmute yourself, because I would love to hear
Yeah, I can. Sorry.
from someone who has red as their dominant color. Red are usually fairly quick decision makers. They like to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what would be sort of the most comfortable way for, if I were inviting you to join my Juice Plus team, let's say you were just thinking about it, you came to an Own Your Life event, what would be a really, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but what would be really comfortable for you? Can you think of, or even what would be a really comfortable way for you to invite somebody else to join your team?
Let me think about it. So what's there for me is if red's the doer, right? So, and like you said, quick decision maker. So it kind of makes sense that I signed up to be a customer and a rep like right away, right? There was no like waiting around. You got to drip on me. It was my student came, she shared with me. I went to a wellness presentation, took a look, was like, yes, I'm in.
And do you remember, did she even have to invite you? Did you watch the presentation and go, yep, I'm doing it? Or did she?
No, I didn't watch a tape. I didn't watch a video or listen to a tape or anything. She just invited me right off the bat to a wellness presentation.
But like at the end of that wellness presentation,
Uh-huh.
did you go up to her and say, I'm in, or did she?
Yeah, I probably did. I don't think she even had to ask.
I love it.
You know, it was like already asked kind of in the presentation. So
Yeah, who wouldn't love to invite Reds to all of their wellness presentations?
exactly, right? Because what I'm thinking is I get a little frustrated when people aren't like that, right? I want them to be like me.
Exactly. And it's hard to understand because I'll tell you, my red and yellow are pretty close. And what I've noticed, and I really thought about it since doing this survey, is I give up on people. Because if I give them all the information that I would need, right? And I'll give them a little bit of time and follow up with them a couple of times or invite them to a couple of different things. And if they're not ready to say yes, I'm like, well, forget you. Like I can get really frustrated and just be like, well, you know.
Well, I totally could have gone there with a May this weekend, right? Because I had talked to her a couple weeks ago and said, I have a ticket for you. It's my Christmas gift to you. All you have to do is get yourself here to Houston. We'll ride up to Dallas, right? And it was because I'm in a pod with Sharon Farrar's my NMD, and she's going for 100 Club. So she has us all in pods supporting each other. And, you know, somebody was sharing how they were just keeping going with people. And instead of giving up on her, I said, okay, well, when are you ready to do a Facebook event? And she's like, oh yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it. And so we got one on the books.
Awesome. So for all of you who don't have red as one of your top two colors, does it make you uncomfortable to think of, well, I'll just tell you, and I may be sort of jumping the gun here, but for me, who my red is pretty high, I would want somebody, if I didn't go up to them and say, I want to do this, I would want somebody to say, let's go ahead and get started. Here's what I recommend, right? Like, we don't have that many products, but our order form can get, it can look confusing, and it can look like we have a lot of products. And one thing, if somebody is at my wellness presentation, or, you know, wherever, if we're one-on-one or whatever, and I sense that they're that sort of leader, sometimes they can be almost a little intimidating, right? Because they're kind of forceful and a leader. I'll make a recommendation to them. I'll say, I recommend that you start off with the trio. You know, let's go ahead and get you started. So for people whose red is towards the bottom of your list, does that make you uncomfortable, the thought of saying that? Yes, no, so there's kind of
No.
and here's something just to understand is somebody that's dominant in red, they want that, right? And they're kind of waiting for that. And I'll just tell you for myself, if someone is just, when it comes to decision time and they're going on and on and on and on and on, what feels like on and on and on to me, kind of verbally vomiting on me, and I hate to admit that I would be this rude, but my brain is going to go somewhere else. And I am trying to pay attention that my brain is somewhere else. And they like, you know, I've thought about the next 3 days and what I'm doing, and, you know, ordering Juice Plus just isn't going to be in there. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a great point. I always say when I was signed up as a distributor a couple months after I started the product, we went out for coffee. Now I'm a socializer, that's my primary. But my secondary is doer, okay? So I'm out for coffee. We've already covered how's everybody doing, what's up in everybody's life. And then it's like they kept going over stuff about the business. And in my mind, I was like, can you just give me the application? Like, this is a no-brainer. Why are we still talking about this? Like, that's what's going on in my mind. I didn't need to think about it anymore. And I'm glad I didn't. It's awesome being here.
Exactly. And I'm glad they didn't talk you into it and out of it all in the same conversation, right? Like, a red is somebody you can talk into and out of something all in the same conversation. I don't know why my cats feel like they need to, like, have playdays on my lap when I'm on Zoom.
They're socializers.
Yeah. Okay, so green. Who has green as their primary color, or at least one of their top two colors?
I do.
Wait, sorry.
So Brenda, Stacy.
It's my second.
Second? Okay.
Yeah.
Stacy, you're first or second?
First.
First. Okay, so in terms of being invited either to take Juice Plus or really preferably the business, what would be really comfortable for you? Can you think of specific verbiage or just?
Are you talking to me?
Either one of you. I'm assuming you would want a lot of details.
Detail. Yeah. And it's probably going to be, give me some detail, let me take it home and make sure you have the right detail and the right information, and I'll research it some more, and then I'll let you know.
These are the people you cross your fingers and hope they don't find that negative stuff on the web about Juice Plus.
I know, right? Yeah. Mine happened quickly only because Chris is my sponsor, and she's detail oriented, she's a researcher. So in my mind, I said, oh, well, she's a scientist like myself. And so if she's done it, then I know she's done most of the work. You know, she's already looked into all of that. So it didn't take me very long, but Not as long as it would have if it would have just been a casual friend.
Awesome.
Well, and Janice, for me, this will probably help explain why Blue is my top one and the Thinker is my second. I'm an accountant by trade, and so I'm an auditor. Therefore, yes, I want the research. I want to know what's behind it. I wanted to take it home to my husband, see what he thought. I do not like being put on the spot. When people do that to me, it makes me extremely uncomfortable. You know, and so that's why I do need to take it home and analyze it. Even people asking me questions, you know, even in a rep situation. I try to do this with my own team because I know how I feel. I will ask them or I will Voxer them privately and say, hey, when we're in this situation, I would love for you to have an answer to whatever it is or come up with an example. I don't like putting them on the spot, and I don't like that being done to me. So therefore, I don't do it to others. Does that make sense?
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I just learned so much, Brenda.
That is so you, Brenda.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming that at the end of a wellness presentation, a good thing to say to somebody who's green is, okay, tell me what additional information you need in order to make a decision.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And send you on your way, and you would be super happy, and you would go home and research it and come back and go, yep, makes sense.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you though, making my decision, it didn't take too long because my husband was a juicer, and we watched Dr. Sears' CD, and it made sense to him because he got health and nutrition, and by being a juicer, it made sense to him. So it didn't take us long to say yes, but we did need to both sit down and watch that or listen to that CD.
You wouldn't have gone to a wellness presentation and signed up that night.
No. I would have had to say, I need to take it home to my husband first. And I know I even cringe at that. I'm like, oh no, don't take it to your husband. No, don't do that. You know, but I'm that person. So I get it, you know?
Awesome. I just had something I was going to ask you, and it just my brain is like not 100% tonight.
I can't imagine why.
It's back at mile 13 of the marathon.
Well, and I will have to say, Brenda is so good, not putting people on the spot. She is just an awesome, smooth person when it comes to visiting, asking questions. I don't know that I've ever seen her put anybody on the spot. So I just think that so fits her. She's just really good.
That's
Thanks,
awesome.
Peggy.
Well, if I can say, because I'm on Brenda's team, and I've never felt pressure from her for anything. Like, I understand that what we do is important, and I understand what we need to do, but she has a really good way of verbalizing things so you don't feel pressured. And that's huge for me, especially right now. That's huge for me. And so that makes complete sense, Brenda, that you approach things the way that you do because of how, you know, you don't like to feel pressured either or on the spot or anything like that. And so that makes total sense why you're that way.
Right. Yep.
Awesome. And so here's something that's key. That thought came back to my brain. Nobody walks around with something on their forehead saying, I'm yellow, red.
Right.
But this is a relationship business. And as you ask a lot of questions and get to know people,
Exactly.
on the two that we've really talked about, red and green, can you figure out some clues that you would go, oh, I think this person is a pretty quick decision maker or a doer, you know, or I think this person's a thinker. I need to give them more information.
Mm-hmm.
A doer doesn't want, personally, I don't want a whole lot of information. You know, I mean, if you sent me home with a whole bunch of stuff to read, It's going to sit on a pile on my desk. You guys can't see my desk, and you're really glad that you can't. But it's going to sit there, and it's going to get lost in the shuffle, right? But a green, you want to send them home with information, and they're going to go home and devour it. So it's important to really focus on the people that you're talking to and build that relationship, and in your brain start to go, oh, okay, this, I see these characteristics. This is the approach I should take.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
I think it makes total sense. Janice, the other thing that I like to do with my team members is I do the 5 love languages. I try to find out what their love language is. So when they get down and out, we all go through highs and lows, right? When they are in that kind of low point, I want to know, what is it going to be for you that as a sponsor I can do to help you? Is it words of encouragement, words, the words of affirmation, or is it, somebody that's more of a, whatever it is it just quality of time? Those different things. And I think it makes a difference. And we always say we value our customers. I feel like we need to make sure we value our team members too.
That's awesome.
I love that, Brenda.
Yeah, incredible.
great.
And she does a great job loving on her team. She really, really does.
Yeah, she does. She
Yes.
does. I can vouch for that.
Segue into Blue, the relator.
Yeah, that's my top one.
I can tell.
Yeah.
So who else has Blue as
Me
your
too.
top two?
I do.
Rihanna does. Okay.
I have blue.
Yeah, which is why I love how Brenda deals with her team, because I am also blue at the top.
Awesome.
Awesome. And Stacy has Blue, and Peggy, did you say you have Blue?
Yeah, it's my second.
Yeah, it's my second.
So as a Blue, for any
Tammy, what are you?
I am green blue, and they're very close.
Yeah.
That's me too.
So as a Blue, any of you feel free to go ahead. What would be a comfortable way for someone to invite you to their team? Or even how were you invited into, what you were successfully invited onto this Juice Plus team.
Actually, it did not go that way for me. I actually acted more like a doer.
Yeah, you did.
Getting myself on the team than I did the relator. But I think, though, just thinking about how I am, just knowing that you see certain qualities in me that would make me feel a certain amount of value, I guess, to joining the team. Because I'm also, I don't remember which personality thing I took, but it had to do with being an activist type of person, and somebody who wants to make a difference, or someone who wants to feel like they can make a difference, and that there's a purpose or a cause that I can be a part of. So for me, I guess my thought process why I became more of a doer was because I was so interested in the tower, and I was thinking, my gosh, if I am this excited about the tower, I know someone else might want to have access to this tower garden too. And I was thinking about me being able to talk to other people about growing your own food because of how much trouble I'd had about it and with it. So let me share this awesome thing. And so that's kind of, there was a cause, and I was, up for the cause, and I was up for the challenge, and I was up for the purpose, at hand. So I don't know. I think for me, that's kind of how I feel.
Blues would probably be very cause oriented. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. What about anyone else? Blue.
And blue is my top one. I was, I think, 31% blue, the relator, and 27% the thinker. And I know Kim, I think, invited me a few different times into the business. I honestly don't remember that. What got me into the business was my husband going, hey, why don't we offset our cost of the product? I was like, really? You want me to do that? I've got 2 small kids. They were 2 and 6. I was working at our church. I didn't have time for it. But it was him saying, the accountant approaching me from the accountant side, hey, let's offset the cost. That's what really got me thinking, okay, I'll do that. And that's the reason I joined, was to offset cost.
So blue is on the bottom of mine. I'm tied for 20% blue and 20% green. And what Peggy, I think it was Peggy, what she said about the love languages, to know how to, like, I wrote that down, how she uses the love languages to know how to provide and support folks.
That was Brenda.
That would be Brenda.
Yeah.
Oh, Brenda. Okay. So sorry about that. And
That's okay. Thank you.
thank you for saying that, because I'll totally use that as a tool for my team.
It has worked awesome for my team, because I think they feel like, and I'm glad, Rihanna, that you said that, because I never want my team to feel pressured. I know how I feel when I get that way, and I do not want to pass that on.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the love languages is huge.
Yeah. And, when I think of blue, and I could be totally wrong about this, but I think of like Julie Herbst. Every time she does a presentation or any kind of talk, she just has that, like, you just feel like she cares about you, even if you're in an audience of 7,000 people, right? It's just kind of her tone of voice and her.
Yes. My blood pressure goes down when she talks. She has an awesome way about her. I'm like, oh my goodness. Even Kathy Brown, when I talked to her on Wednesday, she was chit-chatting with me and telling me, oh my goodness, you're doing so awesome, different things. I was like, I felt so good after that call. I was like, wow. I felt awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so should we move on to yellow? The socializer, who has yellow in their top 2 colors?
Yellow is my top.
Here's my top.
Yellow's my number 2.
Awesome. Is it your top?
Yellow's
Megan?
my number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so of all you yellows, what was successful about being invited into the business, or what would be a great way to invite into the business?
You're never going to be alone. I'm going to do this with you.
Yeah, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Yeah.
And the community, I just absolutely love our Facebook groups.
I think I always talk about the Juice Plus community as being so different from anything else in any other workplace or any other job or whatever. It's just a totally different, caring culture, and I always try to mention that if I'm talking to somebody about the business, because I just feel like it's a culture all its own, and
It is.
for all the places that I've worked and people I've worked under and beside, this is totally different. It's just not happening anyplace else.
It is. And something just hit me. A bunch of us just got back from the Dallas Summit this weekend. And what a yellow place, right? like a conference or something like that, where you have that community and the energy in the room is just, you couldn't be sad there if you wanted to.
Or unloved.
I've been to summits before, and I'll tell you, yellow is my top and red is like second from the bottom, almost tied for bottom. And I've been at summits where they're like, take out your phone right now and text 10 people and invite them to something. And I'm like, no, why would I do that? Why would you do that to me? This is horrible. This is awful. And I panicked. But like as a yellow, they're like, you just find someone, get with someone, turn to someone beside you. I'm like, okay, that I can do. I could be like a total like hippie in a community liver, you know?
That's awesome.
I
It's
think
I
one of the
never
things-
would have thought about that, but it makes complete sense.
Yeah, I think one of the things that was said to me by my sponsor, when we were talking about the business was, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry those things happened to you in your past MLM businesses. I want to tell you, we're not like that. And I'm going to do everything I can do to make sure you don't have that experience in this business. That was probably one of the key things I heard to actually make me go, okay, where do I sign?
That's good to know.
Well, and I think from also similar to that, piggybacking off of that, because I also came into Juice Plus from a different network marketing adventure, and not to say that they didn't have a certain amount of community, but I was out of state from the rest of the people on my team, and not being able to be in the same environment and have that camaraderie and really experience that culture, in close proximity like I have been since I've been a part of the Juice Plus community. That has made a world of difference for me. I think in just how I've been able to build and how I've been able just to feel like I'm really a part of something, because, one part of most of your team being in all of your leaders and stuff being in one state and you being in a different state, super, super difficult for me, with that other venture. So I can see how being a relator is my number 2, but how important that's been, having that culture and that community and stuff around for me has been really important.
And that's good to know. And I think Zoom and Voxer and, for people like Stacy's in Wyoming all by herself. And you're blue and green. Where is yellow for you, Stacy?
It's my last color.
Okay. But
It's my last color.
But you still, I think your blue probably still wants to be connected,
Yeah.
So I think Zoom is a game changer for our business, for people who are out of state. Awesome. So, do you guys feel do you feel like you have a better understanding of all 4 of those colors? And it's not this isn't a extremely scientific method, right? But as you're talking to people and getting to know them and asking a lot of questions, I think for me, it helps me even to understand why I need to ask people a lot of questions to really get to know them, to understand how I proceed with them. Right? There's not a script. We always say that there's not a script because everyone's different. And do you guys feel like this helps you to sort of know how to figure people out and how to proceed, what steps to take?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's back to asking the questions, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking earlier in this like, oh, this will be really great for being able to listen to people and hear what they're saying and hear their need and get in their world and have some grounding in where to go with what questions to ask and what things to say.
Yeah.
Because you'll be able to, as you build the relationship with the person, kind of see, oh, are they a doer? Are they a thinker? Are they a relator? Where do they fit with these colors? And now how to work with that.
Right. And how to communicate using their style.
Right.
Instead of your style.
Right, exactly. In that way that lands, right? So I'm not getting frustrated when I can see, oh, they're just not a doer. Like me. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
Well, it doesn't mean that they don't do. Their style is just a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, and like as a person who probably used to be, like I've always talked about, I'm a fly by the seat of my pants person because I'm that socializing doer. But one of the things that's matured in me on my personal growth journey is there's times when I need to slow down and think. There's times when when that serves me really well, when I've got 10 people interested in the business, I need to be like spontaneous and maybe not worry about what's for dinner and all that. But there's also times when I need to just stop and think. Like I can be really quick to text somebody a message and then I go look at my verbiage and I'm like, why did I say that? So like for me, it's like stop, take a deep breath, reread it, and then send it. Plug it into that thinker just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I've caught myself doing that for sure. Like, oh, wait, no, this is me coming from my perspective and what I want to hear. Hang on, let me go over and shift that.
Yeah.
You know, the relationship being about them, not being about me and what I want them to do.
Is there some place on this website, you know, when you get your own back, it's very specific and lists several things that relate to you. But is there some place on that website that you can get like a total description of each of the 4 colors?
There is, and I know when
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, you know what? I'll find it and I'll put the link on there because I had to dig around. It took me a while to get to that, and I can't remember off the top of my head how I did it.
Okay.
It was a while. It was like a month ago, and I remember going, there has to be a description of all these, and I clicked on so many different things.
Gotcha. If you find that, let me know. Or box it to us. Because I just think it would be helpful if I could see it. I can listen to all of our conversation and I could replay this. But if I have it in front of me and can see it, then I'm better off.
Yeah, exactly.
If that makes sense. I don't know where that fits on that color wheel, but that's where I am.
What are you looking for?
A detailed list of each of the colors.
So. Okay, does anyone else have thoughts or questions? I know we've gone a little.
I did have, I don't know if it's a question, but I know like from the first, which is the blue later at 32%, the last linker at 22%, there's only 10 between my first and last. Is that like, how normal is it to be for them all 4 to be that close together? I guess this is my question. I feel schizophrenic a little bit.
No, your question was there's only 10 points between your top and your bottom, like the first and last.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I'm in the same boat. There are 8 points between my top and my lowest. I don't know, honestly, if that's good or bad.
Yeah.
I don't think it is good or
I'm
bad.
a little jealous. I feel like
the way you are. You know, that's just the way you are, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't.
I think too, like you're saying, I'm sorry, I don't know if mine low or overlapping or what, but that there is this growth process that happens with us as well. Like you said, the personal development and stuff, and certain things can change over time. You know, like I may become more of a doer, you know, I might be more of a doer in a couple of years than I am now, you know, who knows, but I think that can have something to do too with them kind of, you know, moving or changing or, you know, being further or closer apart or whatever.
Yeah, I think they can definitely change it. I mean, I think about when I was in the workforce before I had kids. I mean, my degree from school is in engineering, and I definitely was a red-green back then. Like I was a thinker and a doer, I think. You know, and as I had kids, and I became much more of a socializer over time. So awesome. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for participating. It was a lot of fun to have everyone's input. And I think it was really, really beneficial. I know it was for me.
Yeah, thanks for your time into that, Janice, because it was really fun. It was really fun to do this, and it's fun to see where everybody else is too and how we, you know, work to relate. But thank you for doing this.
Sure.
It was second color, Kim.
I am a yellow-red.
Yellow-red, okay.
Awesome.
I think like Sonia.
What?
So.
Okay, well, thanks, you guys, and let's go make it an awesome week, and we will talk next week.
Thanks, Jana. Appreciate your time on this.
Thank you.
Congratulations on completing the marathon. That's amazing.